All right, welcome back to Church Chatbots 101. In this video, we're going to talk about bots and funnels, the purpose and goals of a funnel, and how a bot can assist. So this is a funnel. If you as you go through a funnel, you'll see at first glance that a smaller percentage of people continue down the journey. So this here in the middle is basically your funnel structure, right? The reality is that some people simply stay at a phase longer than others. These are your different phases, and we're going to break them down in just a moment and what your actions are getting people into a stage and from one stage to another. With the right amount of nurturing, they will eventually make their way down the phases as well, or they will leave, and both those options are okay. Remember, you cannot please everyone. So let's go through the phases. Phase one is the awareness phase. Your potential church member just discovered you. Why? Because you did some sort of an outreach and an attraction stage. They need to find you everywhere so they can become aware of you, so they discover you, and then you can provide opportunities for them to get to know you better. So let's talk about this a little bit more in depth. So you want to connect through outreach and attraction, and that leads to awareness. These are actions you take to expose your ministry to as many people as possible in your community, giving them an opportunity to connect with you. Paid ads or free posts are available on channels like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, your website, Vimeo, direct pages, direct mail, Facebook groups, billboards, block parties, church handouts. These are all paid ways and free ways that you can get, make people aware of who you are. You're probably already deploying some of them. I believe if you're wise, you already have a website. If you don't get one, you might be handing out church-related things, postcards or whatever, either on like parade days, like 4th of July or whatever, or maybe you're running a billboard or you're planning block parties. Bottom line is, these are all ways to make people aware of you and who you are and what you do. Now, here's some words of advice. Know who you are as a ministry. All right, know who you want to reach as a ministry. We call this an avatar. So an avatar is the ideal person that you create, that you want to reach with as many identity points that you can, that you and both can identify with, you and them both. Give them a name and get to know them. So let's pause right there for a moment. Let's say you have Belleville Billy. Okay, Belleville Billy. First of all, let's talk who you are. You are a church that is very traditional in nature. And you're not a big church, about 50 people big. You have an organ and in Sunday school, and not really a kids ministry. Although you have a few younger families, but the bottom line is your ideal person that you're reaching. I'm not saying this is you, but this is what I notice a lot of times in churches. So what you might be looking for, most likely, is someone that's in their mid to higher 40s up and beyond that even. Someone that's very well established in life, probably don't have kids anymore, maybe teenagers, but maybe they, those teenagers, the kids are post-teenage or late teenagers or even out of the house already. So Belleville Billy is married, he has a good job, he's very traditional in his views, he's the perfect person to reach. Now listen, that doesn't mean he's the only person you're going to reach. Belleville Billy has a family, and if those teenage kids, post-teenage kids, or maybe his young adult kids with their children see the transformation in Belleville Billy and his wife's Betty's lives, they might come to your church and you might reach them, and that's amazing, that's awesome. So, but you're going to communicate to him differently than if you are Charleston Charlie, who is kind of hipster, wearing very tight clothes and jeans and t-shirts, and kind of a freelance guy. He's probably in his 30s, has a young kid, very free in his way of thinking. So if you are a church that want to reach him, you're most likely going to have an atmosphere in the church that's going to be more with a band and lights and lattes and stuff, pre-service and post-service. And so you're going to communicate to Charlie a little bit different than you're going to talk to Billy. And knowing that and who you want to reach and how you're going to reach them is pretty important, because you want to tailor your communication methods and creative aspects to have the maximum impact when connecting to your target audience. All right, next phase. If you do this well, now you want to move them from the awareness. You want to take them from awareness now to Consideration. How do you do that? You start teaching them. They need to find value. Now, teaching, I'm not talking about preaching from the stage, although that's important too, but you start telling them, as they're evaluating you, you start telling them who you are, what you stand for, what your heartbeat is, your vision. So you start building, establish authority and share value and win their trust. All right, so educate them on who you are and what you have to offer. Educate them on the potential you and God see in them and how to grow to the next level. This could be sermons, classes, groups. Teach in a way that will make head knowledge heart knowledge and create a yearning for relationship. Show them what a future with God will look like. All right, and keyword here is relationship. So as you teach them, you start building relationships so that they would consider wanting to spend more time with you, which is the point of commitment. They make a decision to commit. And so if you build relationships and they find transformation through friendship, then they will make a decision to connect and stay. Being as groups is not enough. Being in relationships because of groups, that is the goal. In relationship, conversation happen and questions are asked and answers come to light. Validate their journey that led to this point and help them believe that a future with God and you is the best decision they can make. All right, so now they've made a decision. What's next? Recruit and train. They need to find purpose. So recruit volunteers and train them into leaders. That'll take them into the next phase, which is retention and organic outreach or attraction. So your church member will talk about you, and by doing that, the value that they find, if you value them and they find value in you, they will become your best outreach and attraction efforts. This is phase 4. So help them find a place to serve with joy and grow them into leaders. That's a whole nother funnel, right? A leadership funnel. I mean, you start with an entry-level leader that grows in its responsibilities. Anyway, we can go on that tangent, but I'm not going to. When people find a way to fulfill a purpose that's part of something bigger than themselves, they will talk about it and expose your ministry to others that will be attractive and bring awareness. All right, so let's look at this again. You reach out. You make people aware of yourself. So now they discovered you, and it's up to you to provide opportunities for them to get to know you better. So now you start teaching them. They need to find value. Then they're in the consideration phase where they're evaluating you and considering sticking around. So establish authority, share value, and win their trust. How do you do that? By building relationships. They need to find transformation friendships or transforming friendships. This will put them in the decision stage, and at this point in time, they might be ready to commit, and they will commit if you validate and reinforce their feelings. How do you do that? Recruit them into purpose. Give them a purpose. Let them find purpose and train them. This put them in the retention phase and the organic outreach attraction phase, which comes back to connecting. Your church member will talk about you if you value them, and they will become your best outreach and attraction. So funnels could be another course on its own, but hopefully this gives you a little bit of an understanding, and bots can help you in every phase of every funnel, helping to nurture relationships, helping provide education. It's not going to replace value, human interaction. It can add value, but it cannot replace human interaction, but it works hand in hand with it. Bots can go from digital to personal and back all the time, nurturing relationships that leads to transformation. All right, so next up in the next video, creating a communication blueprint. See you in the next video.